Welcome to Love for Life, the podcast for modern couples who want to build relationships that last while raising families that thrive.
We're Nichole and Ben Farrow. Nichole's the expert and I'm the other half of this partnership, bringing the everyday perspective of a guy doing the work alongside you.
Every week we cut through the BS and give you the real tools for real life, because your relationship isn't just personal, it's the foundation for everything. Let's get into it.
So, but thank you very much, both of you, you're actually both second timers. You've both been on here before as well. I want to kind of really talk about modern motherhood today and the fact that we now spend twice as much time with our children than previous generations, exactly double since the 1960s. Men now spend triple the amount of time with children than we once did. We have more time, we're more present with them. But we also now require, in most cases, dual income households. We have more information and access to information about kind of how to raise kids and mental health and all of that good stuff. And yet mums are feeling more burnt out and stressed than ever before, and isolated as well. So I guess my big question is, on that, the biggest difference in a child's well-being, according to a Harvard study, is the happiness of the mother. So if a mum feels even 10% more life satisfaction, then that is the equivalent to a child's well-being of the family income going up by 50 grand a year. Wow. So it's interesting that our happiness is so tied to actually rearing the next generation to be healthy, happy, resilient. But there's so much more pressure and we're spending more time, but perhaps with less support than what we once did. And obviously the birth rate is dropping. So is it a case of motherhood has kind of a branding problem? Is it a case of modern society doesn't value it in the way that it once did? Are we kind of romanticizing about what motherhood is, but actually the reality is very different, and actually maybe conversations like this will actually put people off? I don't know. That's the kind of conversation that we're having today. So I've kind of done that as a big intro, but I'm going to go in with both of you, and I don't mind who starts, but kind of when I explain all of that and sort of lay out as the landscape that we're raising children in, how does that kind of land with you? Does that feel like your experience, or does that feel quite different to how you kind of see motherhood?
I was frustrated listening to it. I think what I'm hearing is just so much more on mother's plate, and that's an experience that I can relate to. But obviously I also wasn't a mother in the 50s, so to hear that we spend a large more proportion of our time with our kids, on the surface, great, but then we're also on the whole, like you say, working full-time if not part-time. So there's that demand. So where's this time coming from? Like, something's got to have given, there's got to have been some flex there. And I suspect, and I can relate to this, I suspect it's women making time for themselves and doing things that they want, because there's still 24 hours in the day like there was back in the 50s, but all of a sudden we're spending more time with our children, we're working full time, we're also, like you say, being given an absolute deluge of information. Our parenting is way more visible than it was back in the 50s, so there's an element of judgment that I feel, I'm sure other mothers feel as well. So I think that just speaks to a huge load that women are expected to bear, and do it with grace, and do it with style, and do it with a smile on your face. And I think it's a bit of a falsehood, not to open up in a negative, but I just think sometimes we talk about motherhood like we should be so lucky, and we are. If you wanted to be a mother and you're a mother, it's an incredibly blessed experience, but it's not without its challenges. And I think one of the biggest disservices we can do to other people who are going to become parents is to gloss over the cracks, because I know when I became a parent, I wanted to turn around to other women and be like, what the hell? Where was this? Why didn't you tell me about this? I felt like I'd been lied to by previous generations of women, because I was like, oh, it's wonderful. I'm like, hold on, it is. But there's also other stuff that comes with it that I felt isn't spoken about enough. And I think lots of people are different. Some people are like, give me the rose tinted version. I'm much more of a give me warts and all, so I feel prepared.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest thing was, the biggest shock that you were like, why did no one tell me about this bit? Was there a moment where you were like, I did not see that coming?
Losing yourself in motherhood. how much you not have to, I imagine some people have got the balance, but for me, how much I became secondary in my own life and lost who I was, someone who I was like, I would consider myself a very centered, like, person who understands exactly who she was. And then motherhood came and I felt like I'd just been put into a whirlpool and I didn't know which way was up anymore. So I think it's the loss of self that I found really hard and felt like no one had spoken to me about before I became a parent. And then when you're like, anyone else feeling like I don't know who I am, I don't know how I dress, I don't know what I think, I don't know. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that happens. Like, thanks for the heads up. Like, I thought I was losing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember looking through my wardrobe being like, I can't wear that anymore because I'm a mum. I've got that this label and now I can't wear that. But, you know, sometimes I just don't fit into that. And that was, you know, soul destroying as well. But like, I just, I have this idea of what I thought a mother was. And it's like, I can't be who I was before now that I'm this new role. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit my idea, what I think was the idea. What about you, Geri? Did you feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually surprised that now supposedly we're spending more time with our kids, because I don't feel like I'm, not that I was a mother in the 50s, but I feel like I am present, but I'm actually, well, I am with them, but I'm actually not present, because in my head I am still thinking about that email, or I need to respond to this message, I need to follow up on this medical appointment. Yeah, it's just, I think there is a lot more information out there for mothers and about motherhood, but actually there is not actual hands-on support, and I think that's more valuable than just the information there. Although I exactly can relate to Alex. When I first became a mom, literally 2 days later I was like, what the hell is this? What is happening? Where is there was this urge. I just wanted to go in and do something, but I felt like I was running on the spot. Literally, that was the feeling. I wanted to do something. There was this go, because I am just a go person, and it was still there. But oh no, hold on, I have a 2-week-old baby. That is not going to happen. It's just my world just completely crumbled. And I feel like I'm just still rebuilding it 6 years later. I'm not there.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's this whole thing, isn't it, about getting your pink back? And I think I saw somewhere the other day that was saying, like, mother shouldn't expect to get her self back, her identity, what you're talking about, Alex, until the children are 5. And I'm assuming that's partly because they go to school and therefore have less, probably because of the time thing, there's less time with them. But I thought, gosh, if someone had said to me, you won't feel yourself now for 5 years, and actually in that time you then have another one, so then that just, you know, delays it even further.
Resets.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, really, I'm not going to feel anything like myself or like comfortable in my own skin or know who I am for 8 years in my case. Then I think yeah, as you say, it's the stuff you didn't know and that doesn't really get talked about in terms of what motherhood does to you.
No, and also it's if you start talking, and it's so important to talk about these things with other moms and other women, because no one actually comes to you and tells you, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. But when we start sharing with each other, and discussions are important, they're like, oh yeah, this happens and then it happens, and does that happen to you? Yeah, I've been through this. And it's like, well, no one told me about it.
Yeah, because then I suppose you feel like there's actually life on the other side. Whereas when you're in it, you're like, well, does this ever end? Like, I wasn't expecting this shift. I don't know how you come out, you know, what the other side looks like. But I suppose if you're talking to other mothers who've actually been through it, so we owe other mothers the thing to say, you do come out the other side. But to your point, Geri, you said there's lots of information out there. And actually, Alex, you touched on it as well, of kind of that judgment of now having to be very visible in your parenting. And there's a lot more information about how you should be doing it. But then there's a lack of support to actually help you. So when you are frazzled and maybe you are being short, or you just don't have the patience, or you're trying to juggle, as you say, Geri, you know, that work email that you've got to do, and you've got to book the dentist appointment, whatever it is that's going on in your head that you're trying to manage. So you're not perhaps showing up as the best Instagram mom out there. You know, I think you're saying there's a lot of information, but a lack of actual support.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of information. There are different ways of parenting. You have to do this way. or that way, and you have to choose your way, but actually no one really helps you. The village is not there. The village that once in the 50s they've had, I'm assuming, and they really did, because most women were living with family or they had more support. Now we're all living around the world. I'm originally from Bulgaria, so I don't have any family around. It's just me and my husband. So my village is just not there. My village is other women, whether on Instagram or on the streets of Tunbridge Wells. This is my village. And now I feel like most women are left to their own devices to actually create the village for themselves. And that's, sometimes it feels like one more thing to do in motherhood, because you also need to look after the children, one or two, do your job. I mean, I feel like a PA most of the times, 2 kids, a husband, running the household, doing my own things, and then thinking for myself. And as Alex said, most of the times it's just you that it's going, because we all have the same 24 hours, but something has already, it's not there, so something has to give, and that's probably the self, the self that is, you're a mom and you're a woman, and that is just not there. The self-care is not there, and part of the self-care is the mom creating the village. So that's like, I feel like that is on the to-do list instead of just being there for you as a support.
Alex, you've got family nearby, haven't you? Do you feel like you have more of a village, or do you still feel like you're
I think I frequently think I don't think I could have survived those early years without the village that I had round me. I mean, I will say similarly to you, Geri, that I don't think there is an inherited village of motherhood like there used to be, i.e. women on the street. There was more community. We know that community was bigger back then, and now we live more isolated lives, so you do have to go out and find your village. But I was very lucky that I have an incredible family who are close and willing, and then also friends on the whole who are local, although none of them were mothers at the point at which I was, so I found that quite isolating because they were still going out partying, and I was a bit like, no, not what I'm up to at the moment. But they were always on the end of a phone. I think there's things like NCT groups or other versions of that where you go, and I will say that I really struggled with that, because I've really struggled with people being like, you should be friends because you're parents. And I'm a bit like, that's like men going, oh, you've got BMW and so's he, so you should be friends. I'm like, how is us birthing, that's enough? That's enough for us to be pals. And I get it, like there's obviously going to be some understanding between women, but it's not enough. I remember going to my version of NCT and there wasn't a single person there that I could bond with, gel with, and the thought that I just you had to be friends with them because they're the only people who go through what I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't. So part of me, but I probably made a rod for my own back, to be honest, in being like, I've got enough friends. I don't just need people who have got babies. Perhaps I should have been more open to that, and perhaps I would have found a village going through the same thing as I was at the time. But I struggled to bond or gel with any of those people. But yeah, I'm incredibly lucky with the support network that I have around me, and I don't know how people did the same without it. It just goes to show, isn't it, that everyone's journey through motherhood is so different. You know, you might not have parents around, you might have lost parents, you might, all these sorts of things. And there's so many variables in what motherhood looks like for everybody because of who you are. And I think that's the other thing, is that I feel like motherhood, everyone has this benchmark of what motherhood looks like, but you don't know what people are building to get to that, what the kind of, you know, it might not be that you have enough money to start with, or you might not have support, or it might have been a really tricky birth, or your child might have extra needs. It's like there's so many things that will mean that motherhood looks different for everybody. And I don't think society has much consideration for that. I think there is a benchmark that women are expected to meet, irregardless of what it's taken you to get there. I feel like I'm being incredibly negative about motherhood. I think for me, it's the biggest highs, but also the lowest lows of my life. And I think not speaking about one without the other is doing a disservice to other people.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, to that point, Alex, 94% of mothers say they experience overwhelming joy at the same time, simultaneously, as deep depletion. And you wouldn't think that was actually possible, but to have those two kind of completely sort of polarized emotions. But I think that kind of almost sums up motherhood, that you can have these incredible highs in one moment and then it shifts in the next, and then it's back to it. And it is, you know, that kind of roller coaster. So yeah, 94% of mothers agree with you.
Yay.
Only 94.
I don't know who the other 6% are. They're obviously doing something that we're not. But it's interesting because actually I think there's like, between the three of us, there's probably a sliding scale. Whereas you say, Geri, you're from Bulgaria, you don't have any family around you, and you have actually created your own village for you, which was another to-do list, but you've done amazing at it. Alex, you've got lots of family, and from this area, I'm somewhere in between where I moved my mum into the garden, so that's definitely support. But when we moved here, we didn't have anyone around us, and then my mum got fed up with doing the travelling, and the rest of the family kind of a bit further away, and we don't have as much as we perhaps would like. So we've sort of got some. So as you say, the experience will be very different, but I think what we're all saying is that kind of societal kind of community, that village is missing. And actually, Geri, you went ahead and built what was missing. Was there a moment in which you were kind of like, this is what I need, or this is what other mothers need? Was it what made you kind of build this? Because you champion mums and local businesses, and have actually created the village. So what was it? What was the moment, if there was one, that you went, this is what needs to happen?
So I started the account when I got pregnant with my first child, so 6 years ago, because he's now 5 and a little bit. And I started it because I just wanted to document my pregnancy and my motherhood, and just to store the pictures somewhere. And I started seeing that's Instagram. It was COVID times. It was just, this is how you connected to people. And I was seeing all of these women, just really cute pregnant bellies, and they were just like romanticizing pregnancy and motherhood, and I just never got that glow. I never felt cute or looked cute or nothing like this. And I just started feeling like they're all lying to me. This is not what pregnancy is like. I mean, no one talked about, maybe I was just following and looking at the wrong accounts, thanks algorithm, but it was just like, I feel so cute, I cannot wait, it's so cute and nice, and I cannot wait for my baby, and I love my baby, and it's so amazing, and motherhood is wonderful. And then I gave birth, and I had psychosis, and it was COVID, and it was absolute hell. And this is when it was a light bulb moment. I just started posting about what it's actually like to be a mum, and the ups and the downs and the raw reality of motherhood, because let's face it, we all go through the same things, give or take. I started talking to other mums and sharing experiences, and it showed me that we do experience, we're all tired because we never sleep, and just you do get fed up with the kids, and yes, you go from one scale of I love you so much and you're the most amazing thing that happened in my life, to 5 seconds later I just start shouting at them because I am touched out and tired and just all of these things. So it's just showing what motherhood is like, the reality of motherhood. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we need more of this truth. I don't want another mum to look at my account and feel like, oh, actually no, she's lying because she's just talking about how cute and glowy motherhood is, but actually that's not the case. The information should be there. We should all talk about it instead of just sweetening things. Yesterday I just watched something, the black coffee rule, and I just that stayed with me. The black coffee rule is, if the coffee is bitter, don't put sugar in it. It's bitter for a reason, and if you don't like it, put the cup down. That really resonated with me. And I feel like we sugarcoat things. I don't know why, but I think this is it's human nature maybe. It's really not me. I never sugarcoat things. I'm just the way I am. Take me or leave me. This is what you get with me. But yeah, so it just comes from, the account started like this, and then I started adding, you've been on my Tunbridge Wells Mum of the Week, so it's really important for me because this is my village. Tunbridge Wells Mums are my village, and I love to champion them and support them any way I can. And then I added Small Business Saturday because a lot of the mums, the Tunbridge Wells mums, we also happen to run businesses. I mean, we are super women. And this is another way of championing them and just showing the world that, and showing ourselves that we are more than a mum. I started the Tunbridge Wells Mum of the Week because I was seeing all these mums in baby groups and I didn't know their names. I mean, I was called so-and-so's mum, so my child is, let's say, V1. This is how Instagram knows him. V1's mum. And at first I was like, oh, that's me. Oh, you're talking to me. So it's that lose of identity that Alex talked about. So I wanted to, this mum, Alex's mum, that you see in groups every week and you talk to her, but you don't actually know her name. You don't know anything about her. She is a person on her own. She's not just Alex's mum. So this was the idea of Tunbridge Wells Mum of the Week. And then I added the Small Business Saturday because Alex's mum also has a business and she's not just a mum, but she's also a businesswoman, and this is the whole person.
Yeah, brilliant. And actually, I have to say, both of your accounts, I obviously follow both of you, and you both show a much more honest and raw and genuine side to being a woman as well as being a mother. Both of you, I think, do an incredible job at what you put out in terms of the not sort of perfect, polished. And actually, it's much more interesting to watch anyway. It's, it does feel, as you say, more relatable. So you do feel more seen and not so kind of this very perfect, polished, impossible sort of expectation of looking great, and which I think was kind of a 90s idea, wasn't it? Where you had to have the perfect hair and the perfect lipstick and baked a perfect cake, and the dinner was on the table when the husband got home. It's like we've still got that idea, but we're trying to, as you say, kind of have careers and deal with children and without anybody else around us to help us with the children or whatever. And so actually it's we look really disheveled 1950s not the same look, but we're still trying to pull it off like, oh yeah, it's great. So yeah, but I do have to say, hats off to both of you, because I do think you both of your accounts, and we will put them on in the show notes, are worth following for just some realism on life and fun as well. So do you think that it's kind of modern society, do you think it does value motherhood, or do you think we still romanticize about what motherhood is without necessarily putting in the system to actually support the ideal? What's your view, Alex?
I think we do value motherhood. I don't think when I say we, society, I'm not sure society, no, maybe they've undervalued it actually. I think when people go, I'm just a stay-at-home mum, there's always the just. So it's a kind of, it's a lessening, it's a minimizing of what that role is. It's a huge role and it's so key. And I think it goes back to, we expect people to be excellent at it, but we also undervalue what it takes to be excellent at it. It's constant, it's complex, and I'm not sure that unless you're in it, you fully understand that. I also think, I'm a bit further down the parenting line. I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. And even now I can see that I have lost touch with what it is to raise a newborn. And I really have to stop myself when people go, oh, newborn, it's so hard. To stop yourself being that person going, God, you have no idea. Like, you don't know what's going on. Don't minimize that. That's like part of it. And they need to do that bit to get to the 10-year-old stage. So it feels hard now, but I think it's a changing landscape, and you have to go through those hills to get to these hills, and they might look different, but it doesn't make those any easier. And I think I find myself doing the reaction that society does of like, oh, well, that's just that, that's not hard. And I'm like, no, and I know it's hard. I remember those bits, but how quickly you kind of forget that feeling and you just live in your own reality. So I think people who either are not parents or are so much further beyond raising children, I can see how they become a little bit blasé about what it is to be back in the parenting trenches. And I think, therefore, society has a kind of collective amnesia about what it is to raise kids, because I can already feel myself slipping into that and have to pull myself into check. So, yeah, again, it comes down to, I think motherhood is valued, but the expectation is high, and what it takes to be that mother is slightly misunderstood by a lot of people. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Geri?
I posted for, I think it was Mother's Day. I made a post, never just a mum, and I pinned it because it was. I just wanted to remind all women, mums, that this whole thing of what Alex said, just a mum. I mean, just a mum is so many things. And we never give ourselves credit for everything or receive credit from other people. And I think we need to champion each other, because if we don't do it, no one else will. And about having a newborn, I mean, I don't know why I was thinking yesterday about. I think I saw a newborn, and everyone was just, oh, it's so cute, and it's such a it's sleeping and eating, and this is all they do, and oh, you're so lucky. It was a friend of mine, and I was just sitting there and thinking, she's probably not slept in about a year, and she's probably very hungry and tired, and no one's asked her whether she needs food to make her a drink or something else. Because when the baby comes, so when you're pregnant, everyone is puts women pregnant. Pregnancy is just glorified, and oh, you're pregnant. They want to touch the belly, which I found a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then once the baby is there, you are forgotten. You were just a tool to get the baby out, and then everything is about the baby. Literally, the minute the baby is out, everything is about it. Everyone wants to come and see the baby. No one really asks you how you are. And I think when if someone asks me, oh, I have a friend that I need to go and see. She's got a baby. What should I get her? And I always tell them, well, get something for the mom. Because no one is going to think about the mom. Get something for her, because she deserves it. Because everyone else is going to get something for the baby. She probably doesn't need more clothes, more flowers, or whatever it is. Just get something for the mom and ask her what she needs. Do you need to put the laundry for her, or wash the dishes, or I don't know, just help her? Send her, I don't know, a vacuum cleaner. Get her a vacuum cleaner, or just get her a massage.
One of those robot ones, though. One of the robot vacuum cleaners. Come on.
I want to get one of those. It sounds great.
Yeah, me too.
It's just help the mum. And I think this is where society has the stereotypes, and we just follow them without just much thought. And hopefully, with time, this will break down, and we can have more. Also, think about the mum.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think even I'm guilty of that, of going to see like friends with babies and taking something for the baby, possibly some chocolate for the mum, particularly if they're breastfeeding, because I heard chocolate's the best thing to thicken your milk. I remember my sister telling me that, so I always take like bars of Galaxy or something, or Mars bars. But other than that, I do focus on the baby. I think we all do. And it's a bit like what that sort of stereotype. Oh, sorry, Geri.
I was just going to say, even now, if one of my kids has a birthday and people are asking me, oh, what should I give him? What does he like? And I'm like, well, ask me what I like, because it's his birthday. But I also feel like I need to be celebrated. So get me something as well.
I wonder if that would catch on. Quite like that idea. But it is that sort of, as you say, this sort of idea that, you are kind of, everyone's thinking of you perhaps when you're pregnant, but once the baby's here, you were the sort of the vessel. Or at least I had that more for the second one. There was sort of this, I don't think I was as considered even pregnant. It's like, well, you've done this before, you know what you're doing now, you don't need any help. And then, as soon as she was born, it was like, right, you need to come and see us and you need to do this. And it's like, I've got a newborn baby.
And another one. Yeah.
And a 3-year-old.
Yeah. This has just got harder.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, you're fine. And okay. And interestingly, Alex, your point about NCT, I had exactly the same experience. I did not gel with anyone on NCT, and I found it really hard. And I actually ended up saying, I wish you all very well, but I just don't think this group's for me. And I exited the WhatsApp group in the end, because I was like, I'm getting all these messages, but I'm just not.
Yeah, it just feels like admin, and it doesn't feel like support. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Best rid of that.
Yeah. So I think we do think, oh, well, that's fine. So you go to NCT and then you have your new friends and then that's it. And then, and everything's about the baby. We do kind of fall into those patterns, don't we?
And for some people that it works though. Like for some, I don't want to put people off. Like for some people, that's a real foundational part of the community that they build when they become parents. So that's not to put them off. But again, it's just that expectation that it's for everyone. It's this kind of copy and paste that I think is dangerous, because then when you go and you don't make friends, you're like, it's me, I'm the problem. It's like, no, there's versions of this that, some people are really lucky and get a great crowd and that's their people. But if they're not your people, that's okay. That can happen as well. I think it's the whole time that we speak in absolutes, then we are doing women a disservice, because when then they don't match that absolute, women go, it's me, I'm the problem. There's a whole spectrum here. Everyone will have experiences in different ways. There's no kind of one version of this. I think that's what I'm so keen to put out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because you quite rightly say there are some who do have that, and it's wonderful that they have that, but it's not always the case.
Yeah.
I think I had another bout of that, actually, when my eldest started school. And Alex, you'll be familiar with this because you were at the same school, but there was this kind of influx of quite a few of us who all joined the area and all had a child starting at preschool. So again, it was like NCT round 2. Where it was like, right, well, now we all have to be friends because we're all new to the area and we all have a child the same age. And it took a while to go, oh shit, no, you're not my people.
Yeah.
And this isn't working. And now it's awkward because now I've got to see you on the playground. But it's just like NCT, I could just go, yeah, sorry, and leave the WhatsApp group. But it's a bit more tricky when it's at the school gates. But you do have that as well, don't you? Whereas like then you start to find the mums that you do really gel with, and sometimes that is through a baby group or like through some, just seeing it's the same mum in the coffee shop, and chatting, or what you're doing, Geri. So it comes from different places, as you say. There's not like a one size fits all. We need to be really careful not to add to the expectation.
I feel like I see it as a garden, and you go through life and you meet so many women, so many mums from church groups, from nursery, from school, from I don't know, your work or some sort of a social situation or social group, and it's like a garden, and you just go pick and choose, because not every flower is going to appeal to you. And I didn't even do an NCT because it was COVID, so it was just online, and online is never the same as in person. And then we obviously knew that we were going to move to here from London. And then with the second one, nothing. I did not have any time for NCT or anything like this. But yeah, it's just you go through life and you just pick the flowers that you like to make your own bouquet.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. I like that. And you mentioned, actually, both of you have mentioned work. So, we said at the start that in most cases now, families do need dual income for the household. And child costs now eat up about 24% of the family's overall income. So there is kind of this choice and this push and pull. And there is also this kind of expectation of returning to work, that you're going to be able to return as you did before. I don't know if that's been your experience, particularly Alex. I'm interested in hearing from you, because obviously you were in media, which is a very fast-paced industry. So how did you find the return to work? And, because also, Geri, you mentioned that there's so many mums now who are setting up businesses and things because the corporate world just doesn't really support being able to be a mum and being able to, head off to the school play, all the sickness. I think I heard somewhere the other day that you should expect when your child goes into preschool or nursery or any of those sort of settings for them to be like ill 19 times in the first year or something. So if you've just returned to work feeling a little bit sort of, I'm not really sure who I am anymore, can I still do this? My heart's half at home and I'm thinking about them, and and then the first time they're sick, okay, the second time, the third, and it starts to become a problem and you look like you're not really in it. So I'm interested from your perspective, Alex, what was it like for you returning to work?
So yeah, I used to work in TV news, which by its very definition is never going to be flexible. There's no give there. Like the 6 o'clock news goes out at 6 o'clock. I can't ask it to be at 6:15 so that I can go pick up my kid. Like there is no flexibility there. So when I first went back, this is really bad. Okay, I am an inherently nosy person, right? If you leave your letters out on the table, I'm reading your letters. So know that about me. I went back to work. I was the only person to have a young child, the first person to be pregnant in that company. I was treated like I had a contagious disease. And then when I asked for some flexibility about what time I arrived at work so that I could drop my kid off to preschool nursery, could I come in half an hour later? So to put some context into it, I think I had to be in the office at 9. We were on air at 6 o'clock. So I was asking for half an hour. And when I tell you, nothing that you're doing at 9 o'clock in the morning for a news show is still the same at 6. So like, it's not like this is an important hour of work. It's people getting coffee. It's people reading papers. And I was like, I'll work through my lunchtime. I'll stay half an hour later. Like, it won't be that I'm shortchanging you from my work, but I need that flexibility. And I saw an email, someone left their laptop open, I saw my name on it, and it was an email to HR being like, this is a problem, we need to tackle this, we can't have this happening. Like, basically, like, talking about me like I was asking for the moon on the stick or being really problematic. And I was just like, do you know what, they're not here they don't want this to work for me. They have no interest in somebody saying, I can do exactly what you need me to do as a job, but I just need you to help me here. And I was like, do you know what, it's done for me. It's done. And I think for me, I've spoken about this before, but my last ever shift, I was 8 months pregnant with my second. It was an incredibly hot day and it was Grenfell. And we were one of the first news teams on the scene. And I was there on my feet all day in an incredibly traumatic surroundings, what those people went through. It was one of the worst days, worst news events I've ever covered. And I've covered some horrible news events. And so I left overwhelmed by what I just witnessed, having spent 12 hours on my feet, 8 months pregnant, no water, no food, no nothing. But like, it was the job. And not even a phone call from my editor to be like, are you okay? Or well done? Or, you know, are you going to be getting home okay? Like, absolutely nothing. And I was just like, do you know what? No one there understands or cares about what it is to be a parent, to be pregnant in this situation. I was like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. So when I had my second, I didn't go back. And it's sort of married by the fact that my husband's also a firefighter. So there's no flexibility in his job in that sense. He can't leave early from a shift. There's none of that. So I stepped away because there had to be one person who had a constant fixed job that we knew we could work childcare around. So I left news. I didn't want to leave news. I wanted to leave that job, but I didn't want to leave news. But you can't plan childcare around a career like that. And we needed to. So yeah, I found that really eye-opening. And also for me personally, that was my entire identity, was working in news. It was like what I led with. I thought it was exactly who I was, the only interesting thing about me. So when I stepped away from it, that was another thing that really compounded the fact that I didn't know who I was. And I was like, who am I if I'm not a news journalist? So there was a lot of rebuilding of who I was separate to the career that I do, which I think motherhood makes women do. You suddenly have to separate. Your career is benched, even if it's just for the 6 months you take maternity leave, but you're suddenly like, okay, I'm just this now. I don't get this. So I think it does make you look at yourself in a different way. So yeah, I found returning to work tricky. I think it's obviously quite a unique situation in where I work or used to work in, but it wasn't supportive and it wasn't, sadly it didn't work out for me. That being said, I'm still working media, just in a different sphere. I work with my current team as two incredibly smart, really supportive women who just get it. There is no apologies being made. My boss will get up and be like, right, I'm leaving now because I've got parents' evening. There's no kind of, I'll make up the time. It's just like, you're an adult, you'll get your work done. I just think there's no greater employee than a mother, because I'm like, I work twice as fast as I used to. I work whenever I need to. I make it work around everything. I'm so flexible. Women just get shit done. And I think I work in a team of mothers now, and it's just like, we're firing on all cylinders, but when we need to, and there's none of this presenteeism, there's no judgment. And I think working in that environment has been incredibly helpful to me as a woman, to see that can happen. If you have people who understand and trust you as an adult, then work can be brilliant again or your career can be brilliant again once you're in motherhood. I don't think you have to let it go. But just sadly, one part of my career I had to let go because I became a mother.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, I went on for a long time there.
No. I think we're both sitting there going, oh my God, like that's just, and sadly, you're not, yours in terms of being outside Grenfell at 8 months pregnant, wow, fair play to you. But, that's a really extreme situation for you to have been in. And as well, I know that obviously Matt is a firefighter. I've heard that story in terms of I had to leave what I did, even though it felt part of me, even though I was brilliant at it, even though I loved the industry, it's all I wanted to do. And I've heard that from so many brilliant women who've become mothers and then just feel like they have to make a choice between one or the other because there's just no flexibility. And I've seen that across the fashion industry being one, and also very sort of high-end luxury boats being another. Of it's kind of like, you're the problem now because we're not willing to be flexible. And as you quite rightly say, and I get it in terms of you start to question and doubt yourself, I think, and when you feel so fried and frazzled and you're like, God, can I even do what I did before? I'm so tired or whatever. But actually, I think we underestimate and we undervalue how brilliant mothers are, because as you quite rightly say, we do get shit done. We will put the hours in. They may need to be flexible, but we will make it work. We work twice as hard in a shorter amount of time because you just don't have time to be standing by the water cooler and having a chat and tapping your pencil on your brow for a while, having a think. Like, you just got to be on it. And on top of that, I've heard somebody say a little while ago that women going back into corporate after having children, and it's like, there is no better negotiator than a woman who had to negotiate with a 2-year-old for the last few years, or with a small child. The negotiation skills are phenomenal. The ability to multitask, to have so much going on, to get stuff done. Like, there's so many other skills I think that you actually end up perfecting during those years, even if you have taken a bit of hiatus from work, to then feel like, oh, I'm not as valuable anymore going back because of that. I'm just a mum. But actually those skills haven't left you. If anything, they've got more fine-tuned than they ever were, just in a different environment, but it's still very relevant and very needed. There's a team out in, I think it's Wales, and they are an SEO team, and I want to get the CEO on here actually, because they trialed the 4-day week for the whole company, and they tracked the sort of success of it, and said they would never go back to a 5-day week because actually the efficiencies and the performance and the successes that they've had as a result as a company, culturally, but also in terms of what they've achieved. And now they've moved to, I think it's a 38-hour week or a 36-hour week. So now it's a case of, it's not 4 days, it's those hours flexibly across how you need to work it. And they've seen even more, like another jump up in terms of their productivity as a company. And it's a young guy at the kind of, he's running the business, and there's a lot of women in there as well. Again, there'll be mothers and people who've just got their own stuff going on. I think if companies can really think a bit more of, we're past, you have to be seen to be at your desk to be actually working. Surely, like as you say, we're adults, and if you're trusted to be one, then it's amazing what you can pull off. Geri, you've built this instead of returning to work. Was that, but you still work, and you said you've got the kind of the juggle of like not being present. And I feel that because I chose not to go back into corporate after having the children because of that flexibility. So that's when I set up my private practice and I work things around the children's schedule. But I think like you, I have that constant, like I'm never quite switched off.
That's the self-employed in me. It's just 24/7. So I've never worked in corporate environment, and I feel so lucky. My husband is in corporate world, and corporate is savage for women, from what I hear from his company and so on. And is that because men are on top of these companies and they don't know what it's like to be a woman? And the other thing is, they don't give women and mothers a chance to even go up the company to become someone with a lot of power to then help other women. It's sort of like Alex's experience. You get to somewhere and then it's like, oh, nope, sorry, you're no longer fitting in here. Go back down. We don't need you. We're going to replace you. But actually, no one sees these, as you said, Nichole, all of these skills that we develop. Negotiating I have to negotiate with a 2-year-old. God, it's difficult. I mean, I just switch on methods like this. Like, do you want this? Do you want that? Should I approach from this side, from that side to get to to just basically leave the house? But so I was never in the corporate world. I am a piano teacher and I run a music school. Previous to the kids, I used to teach with my team. Now I run the team and the music school, so I work from home. And then the Tunbridge Wells Mummy is something else that I do on top. But no, as self-employed, I just never switch. Even on holidays, I'm always with my laptop. I mean, what kind of holiday is this? 2 kids and a laptop. Let's just not go there.
Interesting what you were saying about the negotiating. And I'm curious because, Alex, you've got one of each. So do you find that there is any difference, even subconsciously, at the way that you parent the two? And do you think that has anything to do with gender and the kind of the gender? Because we're talking about really the expectations of motherhood. And what I'm very aware of is there is also kind of a lot of expectations of girls trying to, this sort of, you can do it all. You can be a mother and you can have a career, but you still have to have a really fit body and you have to have a perfect house. Are we then kind of saying to girls, you know, you have to be kind, but you also have to be, you know, strong, and you have to be sweet, but you also have to be intelligent. You have to be all of these things. And do you think that there is any kind of those subliminal messages, even if you're not doing it, that you worry about between kind of the way your daughter is perhaps being raised in society versus your son? Do you notice those differences?
Yes and no. I think I'm quite lucky that, not lucky, but my husband is, you know, he's a firefighter on paper, like that's a big macho alpha job, but he is the most sensitive, soft, caring, empathetic human ever. So, but what's happened is that my son is a mirror of him, and my daughter is a mirror of me. So I think I look at both of them and be like, yeah, you're right. Like, Elsie's just the right level of spicy for me to be like, she'll kick the ass of anyone who challenges her. Fine, great. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about being quiet and being submissive. It's almost a bit like reining her in a bit. Like, it's a bit much else. It's a bit aggressive. And then Rue, my son, is very sensitive, very sweet. So I'm also almost having to flip the script a little bit. Is that I worry that my son, he is incredibly sensitive. So I think he'll find a lot of things harder because people treat boys like they're not as sensitive. So I almost want to toughen him up a little bit because to make him resilient. And then my daughter, I don't want to soften her, but I think we've almost got the switch now. I think in terms of like society and how they address my children, yeah, that still feels quite arcane in some respects. You know, people will say my daughter's beautiful and my son is, and I'm a bit like, and the rest, like, let's not. I think my biggest thing is let's not value women, girls, on their external appearance, please. And you know, and equally with boys, let's not just praise them when they're great at football. Let's praise them when they are really open with their emotions and they understand empathy and like that. So I think it's about really pushing to the forefront the things that society perhaps still don't recognize as being a characteristic of a gender, and be like, let's push that to the front. Like, soft, sensitive men, yes please, more of those. Let's like get that to the forefront. And like strong, opinionated women, yes, let's get those to the forefront. So I think it's about building up in the places that society perhaps lacks that understanding of gender. But yeah, like I say, I think I'm quite lucky in as much as we've got one of each that resemble us, rather than the other way round. Like, I think if my son was more like me, I might be a little bit worried, and vice versa. But we've got it in my head the right way round.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my two actually, and I think quite similar to Rue and Elsie. I'd say our son is he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's very sensitive. We call him a little old man because he is very sensible as well. But he's a lot more gentle, whereas she's more of a force to be reckoned with. And I just think about the kind of the negotiations that we were just talking about, and how I never thought this would be the case, but I have to parent them so differently in terms of trying to negotiate, because what works with one just would not work with the other. Yeah, you know, that whole like, if this doesn't happen, then there will be consequences. My daughter looks at me, it's like, yeah, and like, it just doesn't work. Yeah, I can call your bluff. You won't. So like, it's very different. But yeah, I agree with you in the terms of the society thing. I'm curious as well, have either of you watched the Louis Theroux Inside the Manosphere documentary? Geri, have you seen it? Okay. Are you aware of it? Have you seen it on Netflix?
Yeah, I have, but Netflix is like, by the time I come down from bedtime, it's 10 o'clock. It's on my to-do list, but it's been there for like a long time, along with everything else.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we're all raising sons, and obviously, Geri, you're raising 2 boys. Does it worry you, kind of the manosphere and like what you were just saying, Alex, about we need more sensitive, able to talk about their emotions, kind of boys, like having being aware of the manosphere and Alex, for you've seen the documentary, how do you feel raising boys and then girls also in this situation? Because I know that now, for the first time ever in kind of rich countries, it's now preferred to have a girl over a boy. Reason being is because of the kind of the manosphere and the fear of raising boys today, as well as the fact that, again, down to the kind of expectations of women, there's an expectation that girls will look after their parents in older age. They will remember to come round and to check in, whereas boys perhaps won't. And there's the old saying, isn't there? A daughter is for life, and a son is until he meets a wife. So with all of that kind of stuff going on in the background, it's for the first time ever, because it's always been, the preference has always been to have boys to carry on the name, and if we go back generations. So hearing that, kind of, how does that sit with both of you, and what's your concerns or experience with raising, both in your case, Alex, and in your case, Geri, raising 2 boys?
Raising 2 boys, they're very different. They're both boys, but very different. My eldest is very soft and sensitive, and the younger one, he's only 2.5, but gosh, the terrible twos are just very terrible. Yeah, everyone knows us on the floor of the mess. He just sits there for about an hour. I mean, I have a brother, and I left home when I was 18, where he is still living at home. So I don't know. I really don't like stereotypes, and especially with boys, as I used to dress my boys, especially my eldest, in all pink glitter unicorns, and he just absolutely loves it. And that's because I was getting hand-me-downs from my friends, and they all happened to have girls. I didn't care, he didn't care, but society cared. And for so long, everyone in baby groups would ask me, "Oh, so how old is she?" And I would just go along with it, and I'll say, yeah, well, she is 1 year, 2 years, whatever. Because if you start getting in, starting to explain yourself and getting into an argument and so on, someone will get upset and so on. So my boys still love pink and glitter and unicorns, and I'm completely fine with that. And yeah, so I don't have any. I don't have, how do I say this? Society is the environment that you raise your children, is currently we have so much control over it. So all the friends and family, and my husband is very soft. He might be in the corporate world, but he's actually a softie on the inside. And I think our boys, we're raising them to just be great men. And for me, it's very important to raise them to support and appreciate women, because I think this is all I can do to also support women, to raise my boys one day to help their wives or girlfriends or whatever their partner, whatever it might be, and yeah, to just feel and think of girls as equal. My boys play with dolls still. The 5.5-year-old will play with a doll, and I don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, he is going to be a great father one day, and this is all I care about. It's all life skills.
Yeah, I love that.
I think it comes back down to that thing about having one view of what motherhood should be. It's exactly the same with one view of what men should be, one view of what women should be. The whole time that we're having one standard and people aren't matching up to it, and therefore they seen as other or failing. That's the danger. I think it's any time that we set a unique standard for each of those things, we're creating issues for people that don't exist. Like, men should be X, women should be Y. Like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, it's not a helpful narrative. What was your, and to you, Alex, your perspective of kind of the fear of the manosphere and the conversations that are having around boys and girls? What's your take?
I think for me, it kind of comes back to my fear of social media for my kids. I think those toxic views are able to spread more than they ever would before, and rally a following because of social media. I don't think those views are new. I think misogyny is live and kicking, but you would have to seek out those people who had the same values as you, and it would be much harder in the days before social media. So for me, my fear is less about the manosphere and more about what social media opens my kids up to, both as men, girls and boys. Like, the manosphere is just one version of a toxicity that can be found on social media. There's a million versions of toxicity that can be found via social media. And I sense the irony of me being on social media, but I think I'm a 41-year-old woman, and it's a space that I can navigate and also pull away from when I feel it's not healthy for me. I think what social media could expose our kids to at a too young a age, when they are too impressionable or don't have the tools to unpick what people are saying or what it means, I think that's scarier for me. So yeah, I mean, I watched that documentary and was horrified, but absolutely not surprised. Anyone who's surprised, I'm like, what world have you been living in where you haven't come across people who think this lowly of women? I mean, I'd love to live in that world where you don't come across these people, but sadly they're out there in force. But yes, I think the unifying and scarier thing is social media for me.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, that's why it's so important for people to follow the likes of your accounts, where it is, it's you're right, you're on social media, and I can understand the irony of it, but actually you're totally different types of content, and actually there needs to be more of that kind of content that actually is supportive and it's got a good message and it's helpful to people. Same as you, Geri, what you're doing, both on kind of a big scale, because I know you're saying it's a local village, but really, as much as it's a local village, the whole idea and concept of what you've built is actually amazing, and other mothers could do it in other areas, and it could really catch on. I mean, it's fantastic. And actually, if we had, we just need more and more of that, and as you say, more boundaries, perhaps for children who are impressionable. I'm really hoping that the bills go through in terms of keeping children away from social media accounts. There was actually that, speaking of news stories, there was the girl who won against Meta and Google.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, so maybe there is a turn of tide in terms of those companies having to be a lot more responsible for the content that's on there. As you say, because it is just so easily available now for young people. So I've got a few quick fire rapid questions for both of you at the end. So Geri, what's the lie that you tell yourself most as a mum?
That I'm okay. Yeah, that's a lie. Do I need to explain it?
It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I just say I'm okay. And this is a lie that we all say to each other, right? If you see someone down the road, how are you? Yeah, I'm okay. How are you? I'm okay. But actually, are you okay? Are you really okay? And most of the times, if someone this is like a small talk, polite conversation, fine. And if you don't, you choose. If you know the person, you choose. And even if you don't know the person, if I am me, if you were me, I will always dig deep. Some people don't feel comfortable with it. It's just you need to judge the situation. But I actually challenge people. If they just tell me, oh yeah, I'm okay. How are you? But and I just say, no, you're not okay. What's going on? Like, just sit down because once you say it out loud, it's most of the times it's not it doesn't feel like such a massive issue or a problem, whatever it is, if you just say it out loud.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you're right, we all do that. We walk down the street and just say, hi, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah. What about you, Alex?
This is normal. Yeah, that's probably for everything. Yeah. This rash. Yeah, this is normal.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Geri, motherhood in one word.
It is. Currently it is. I don't know, Alex, should I ask you if it gets better? You probably say yes and no.
It just evolves. It evolves. But I would say because I'm at 8 and 10, I am the most whole version of myself I've been for a decade. So like, as a woman outside of being a mother, it gets so much better. As a mother, it gets different. The challenges are different, but they're not on you all the time. They don't need as much from you, but they need so much more from you, but on a more major scale. You know, it's about supporting, building people rather than feeding, entertaining. It becomes about building the person they're going to be rather than keeping them alive, if that makes sense. So it's still hard, but it's not as full on in the same physical way. And you become whole. You can't become whole again in yourself.
Just 5 more years. I'm currently.
Hey, listen, it gets better. It does. Like it's not a suddenly 10 years you're done. It's incremental, bit by bit.
Yeah, currently literally the carnage bit where it's like they're on you 24/7, and by Friday I'm like, just don't talk to me, don't touch me,
the overwhelm.
In a dark room and just sleep.
Tough.
Alex, a song that captures how. Did I ask you for a word? I didn't ask you for a word. Motherhood in a word for you, Alex.
Conflicting.
Good. These are good words. Well done. Now, Alex, I'm going to ask you this question because otherwise it's not fair. I keep putting Geri first on the spot. So, a song that captures how it feels being a mum.
Oh, do you know what? I don't know if it captures about being a mum, but the song that I have to put on when I think I'm falling apart and I need to just pick up the load and carry on is Joe Cocker, Feeling All Right. Come on, we're feeling all right. Like, we will keep going. So I think that's the song I'm going to have to say.
Nice. What about you, Geri?
When Alex was answering, the song that came into my mind, and this is, I'm not lying, is London Bridge is Falling Down. Literally, that was it. Oh yeah, I really wanted to think of another one. I was like, no, I cannot say this one. Just think of something a bit more upbeat, positive. But no, it is London Bridge is Falling Down.
London Bridge is going down. I'm listening, Geri.
It is what it is.
It's funny because I haven't really thought of the answers to this, but the one song that's come to mind for me is, do you remember Meredith? Was it Meredith Brooks? Bitch.
Yeah. My first ever single I bought. Ever bought.
I'm a child. I'm a mother. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. I do not feel the same. Like I feel like that to me sums up motherhood.
That's a good one.
Okay, Alex, best unsolicited advice you've ever been given and the worst.
Okay, don't pick every fight. Not every fight's worth picking. Like, you've just got to let some shit slide. Otherwise, you're going to send yourself absolutely insane. So, like, pick your battles. My husband, we went through a phase in the early years when my husband would pick every battle. I'm like, mate, we haven't got the energy. Like, some of them aren't worth fighting. Let it go. And then what was the worst advice? Ooh, I don't know what the worst advice is. I think you just ignore the worst advice, don't you? And just sleep when they're sleeping.
I was just going to say
that. The amount of time people said that to me, and I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Like, no. I probably should have. But for me, I was just like, it's my only chance to do X, Y, and Z. And like, yeah. And I always felt like I was, again, failing at being a mother because I wasn't sleeping when they were sleeping. So yeah, that's, for me, do it if you can. Brilliant. Good on you. Never could.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Alex, well done. I was just going to say sleep when you sleep because that is like, this is the biggest lie ever. And I have seen so many, seen so many funny reels, just like literally doing this when they would show you the baby sleeping and then the mum would walk down the park and then, goes on the pavement and starts sleeping or, sleep when the baby is sleeping. You're in the middle of shopping
in the car.
And you just like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I will have to go on with this one. It's literally the worst. The best advice that someone's given me, ask for help. I don't do it as often. I think we as society, as mums, we like the idea of this, like, oh yes, of course, it's now more acceptable if I ask for help. But do we actually do it? I don't think so.
No, but something you said earlier, Geri, that struck me was when you said, like, offer help, but don't just say, oh, just call me if you need me. It's too vague. You have to say, like, I'm going to put a wash on, or I've made you lasagna, I'm going to do this. I'll pick the kids up for you. So I'll do the school run because you've got like a little one. I've done that actually with my friend a few times where it's raining and I'm like, just put my name down now on the school. And if it's chucking it down in rain, I'll just pick her up and drop her off because then you haven't got to get the newborn out in the car. like small things that are actually practical and helpful, as opposed to just going, oh, you know, you can always call me, because we won't. We just won't.
Yeah. I
puts
absolutely
a barrier there.
I really hate this when someone, it's just empty words that really we don't need. Just let me know if you need anything. I mean, just doesn't go anywhere.
No.
Unless you're like really besties, and I don't know, like if you're just that kind of person. But let's face it, the majority of people are not gonna let you know if they need anything, or if, you know, if someone is like, oh, do you need anything, let me know if you need anything. Empty words, I really hate empty words.
Yeah, it's not helpful, is it? Okay, your guilty pleasure, Geri, after the kids have gone to sleep.
Oh, I mean, it used to be chocolate and Netflix, and now they're taking forever to go to sleep. So you know what? I don't have any guilty pleasures. I'm just boring because I just want to go to sleep. I value my sleep too much. There you go. That's it.
No, don't value it too much.
It's not guilty. It's just pleasure currently. I love my sleep, and I try and sleep as much as possible.
Yeah, no, it's necessity. What about you, Alex?
It's so boring of an answer, but it's mindless scrolling. And I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but I only say it's guilty because I know I shouldn't be doing that. It's not good, but that for me is my guilty pleasure, just the mindless scroll.
We try not to, we all do it. Okay, what would your kids say you're most embarrassing at, Geri?
To them, I mean, I'm just very affectionate, so I would just kiss them and hug them, and I just love being affectionate with people. And my boys, I mean, especially the 5-year-old, he's like, "Oh, mom, just talk to me when we go home." He doesn't even want to hold my hand now when I pick him up from school, so we just walk next to each other. Yeah, but when we come home, and the 2-year-old is still like very much mummy hugs and kisses, which is great.
You can't embarrass a 2-year-old, I don't think. I think they've got.
I mean, he can embarrass me when he's on the floor.
Exactly. They've got the upper hand at that stage. What about you, Alex?
I think I'm going through a phase with my kids where I desperately want them not to give a shit so much about what other people think. So I am therefore going through a phase of being really embarrassing to show that nobody cares. So like dancing or singing in public spaces, neither of which I do well, I will add. But like if a song comes on in Sainsbury's and it's good, then I will be unashamedly moving my body and singing, and the kids will be dying. And then my whole thing will be like, no one cares. Like, look, everyone's just walked past, they're going about their business. It doesn't matter. Like, it really is. So it's trying to reinforce the fact that just care less about what other people think of you, because I think it took me to be a 40-year-old woman before I really believed in that. And I'd love to instill that earlier on in my kids. So I'm falling on my sword and making a public dick of myself on a frequent basis to try and
I love that.
Display that to my kids. And I hate it, but hopefully it'll work.
Oh, no, it's brilliant. When me and my youngest go shopping, she loves a dance. We go to Lidl's, she gets one of the little trolleys, and she's shaking the booty and she's really going for it. And I'll send her shopping with you. You can involve. She loves it. Yeah, my son's got to that stage as well. My son's got to that stage as well, Geri, where I get given his head at the school because I'm not allowed to kiss him. Yeah. Okay, last question for both of you. If you could go back and tell a first-time mum one thing, what would it be? Alex, I'll come to you first.
Well, first words that came into my head: tell everyone to fuck off. For me, I was so keen to be seen to be nailing motherhood and being okay that I said yes to everything. We had, I think in the first day that I got home from hospital after quite a traumatic birth, 11 visitors, and I wish I'd told people to fuck off. I wish I'd been brave enough to let people know that I wasn't ready to have people, but I was just so keen to be seen, to be up and about and just nailing this already, and being such a people pleaser that I let people come in, and it exhausted me. And it went on for 2 days. So yeah. In the same way, ask people for help is obviously an absolute given, but also just stop people pleasing. Like, your focus has shifted. Tell people to fuck off. Sorry, I've said the F-bomb. You might need to delete that out.
No, Alex, we have Ben on this podcast on a weekly basis, and he F's and blinds all the way through it. So
fine. Safe.
You're fine. What about you, Geri?
The thing that came to mind was just do you. Because in the beginning, especially with the first one, the second one not so much, but with the first one I was exactly like Alex, and I was just looking outwards. we are mothering while doing something else. It was in the beginning, I was just looking outwards to other women and how everyone else was mothering and what they were doing, and I was constantly comparing myself. I needed to do this and I needed to do this and that, and I needed to feel like this and like that. But actually, you don't need to compare yourself. Just do you and go through this. This is your journey, and just make it completely yours and be okay with that.
Really good advice from both of you. Thank you so much for coming on and for having this conversation with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will put all of your details in the show notes that people can follow both of you and the brilliant content that you share. And thank you very much for being so honest and open. And
thank you so much.
Thank you for
no
having
doubt
us.
have you back on another time. Thank you.